Podcast with your host, Tracee Dunblazier, the award-winning podcast that features interviews with luminaries of the mind, body, spirit marketplace. You'll hear from book authors and publishers, store owners and product creators, filmmakers, musicians, and many more, who'll all share insight and wisdom to help open your eyes to new creative possibilities. If you fancy yourself as a visionary thinker, then Chatcast is the place for you. Now, here's your host, spiritual empath, shaman, and best-selling author, Tracee Dunblazier.
Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to Chatcast, our regular Wednesday at noon. We love to see you. My name is Tracee Dunblazier. I'm a spiritual empath and shaman, and I'm also the president of the Coalition of Visionary Resources. We are a trade organization for the mind, body, spirit marketplace, and that's what we do here at Chatcast, is we talk to mind, body, spirit luminaries. And today I have a wonderful guest. Her name is Dr. Gretta Chamberlain. She has a podcast by the name of Shifting Impressions. She's also a lecturer, a remote energy transformational specialist, and an educator who channels the non-physical entities known as the realm of beings. And we're going to talk to her about what that is. Because of this, some are giving her the title of a mystic, and she is working internationally with persons throughout the world. So everybody, I want you to give a warm welcome to Dr. Gretta Chamberlain. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Chatcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Great to be here.
So your podcast is so interesting. First, there's so many things I want to dig into. One of the things that we like to do on the podcast is focus on how somebody gets into their business, but I think we're going to get into that in a few minutes. I want to ask you, first of all, who are the realm of beings?
Oh, they are so wonderful. They don't have bodies.
Okay.
Because there are certain species in existence that are just pure thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing they are.
Okay.
They've been with me since I was a child. I just didn't know it until I had gone to Africa and got married there. And they started speaking through my husband when he was sleeping. And I'm going, okay, something's happening, or my husband is going crazy. You know,
right?
What's the thought?
Yes.
So but I'm a very curious person. So I started talking back. I said, I might as well have a conversation. So then I said, who are you? And they told me, they said, well, we've been with you ever since you were, born. They were with me. And I said, well, I wanted to test them. So I said, that's the case. Tell me something I did as a child that no one else knows. And I will not tell anybody what it was. And it was him. He told me what it was. And I went, okay, you must be genuine, because nobody knows that.
Right.
Then I started talking to them. They stayed with me all the time. I was in Sierra Leone in Yonibana. And after that, they stopped talking to me, but they let me know that they were always with me. And I felt that. I felt that way.
Yeah.
So then I was still in Africa, but I was going through a lot of challenges there. And with my first husband, who had a challenging life unto itself, but wonderful person, very spiritual person, but had some challenges. And the challenges were coming back up again. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it this time. I got through it the first time, but to have to go through this again, I said, I don't know about that. So now we had moved from Sierra Leone to Liberia. And I was in bed, and I saw these 7 balls of light coming out of the ceiling. At that time, my frequency was not where my frequency is now, so that they had to slow down their the speaking, the talk that they gave me. But they told me, they said, we've come to take you back. And I said, you've come to take me back. I said, I'm not going. That was the thing. I said, I'm just not going. And I didn't realize how you can start speaking, but you don't know, what the heck am I saying?
Yes.
I said, I'm not going. And I told him, I said, I can't go yet. I'm committed to working here, and I must complete my work before I leave. I must do that. So I can't go with you. Now the thing became after, and they tried 3 times to say, come on, let's go. I said, I'm not going. I refused. So then they left, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there thinking about, what the heck was I saying? I can't go. First of all, who are they? And then I realized they were my realm of beings. And then someone, and I still cannot to this day remember who told me about, I told somebody about this experience. And whoever it was, they said, oh, you're Arcturian. Because whoever they were coming down, I knew I was one of them. And I looked like them, So I had to come to terms with that. So the person told me Arcturian. I said, Arcturian? What in the heck is an Arcturian? I didn't know any of that stuff. And so I started looking it up, and I'm going, but I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't tell anybody. I said, oh, my goodness, I'm not telling anybody this. And I was doing a talk in New Jersey, and the realm came and they said to me, you've got to tell people you're Arcturian. And I'm saying, what? I said, I'm going to tell people.
Oh,
I said, so I had to really come to, to terms with that. By that time, I had already been trained by Dr. Irene Hickman, who's no longer with us. She's made her transition. She's an osteopathic doctor and a hypnotherapist. And she trained me to go remote. I spent 3 days with her. And so I guess I kind of segued, but I know that the realm is always with me. In fact, the quote unquote healing work we do, they do. So I channel them, they come through me, we they speak to me, they guide me. Sometimes I'll hear they'll speak in English to me and I'll hear voice. But they only do that if there's something very important and they don't want me to miss it.
Right.
They'll do that. So it's a combination. They said when I was in Africa and they first started talking, I was 24 years old.
Okay.
So I am now 77 years old.
Wow.
So
yeah.
So that's the time that I've recognized that they are a part of me. And right now I don't see a difference. I don't feel a difference. I know when they're coming forward, like on the podcast, I call it going back and they come forward one at a time, whichever, they have they take on different personalities, depending on what's happening. Some of them are more funnier than others. And what do they consist of? Ascended masters. I have ascended masters. The realm when I was 24 started off to be 7 of them.
Okay.
They told me, they said, usually people get 1 person, but there's 7 of us with you. I said, okay.
Wow.
So that's kind of it in a nutshell, I think.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So I guess that through them you began to channel and really work with their energy. So at what point did this become a business for you? At what point did you get into healing as a business?
After Dr. Hickman, I spent 3 days with her. She taught, her focus was remote depossession work. She has a book that she wrote called Remote Depossession. And she was recognized as one of the forerunners of teaching people that they did not have to have the person in front of them
Yeah.
be able to work with them. So, to work with the person. So
Right.
and so she taught me, along with others. I was in a room with 20 other people.
Mhm.
She went around the room and she said, "Why do you want to learn this?" And heck yeah, I didn't know why I wanted to learn. So I said, "Oh
Right.
God, what am I going to say?" You know. So I knew as a child that I worked with people. I knew people were coming to make their transition. That
Mhm.
I would always tell my mother, I told her about Mr. Lawrence, who we loved on the block when I was a kid. I must have been about 7 or 8, and all the kids, we flocked to Mr. Lawrence. And one day I told my mom, I said, "Mom," I said, "Mr. Lawrence is coming to die," because I didn't know anything about, transitioning. So
Right.
she said, "Greta?" I said, "Yeah, he's coming to die, Mom." In 2 days, he was gone. Yeah.
Wow.
So then I knew that that was, an ability I had.
Mhm.
Some people call them gifts. I don't call them gifts,
Yeah.
because I recognize that everybody in this world, as a humanoid, everybody has those abilities that they're not
Absolutely.
right. So,
Yeah.
but what happens is you have to decide what abilities you're going to activate.
Right.
So I've activated quite a few of mine so that I can do the work that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, you are gonna be at the Conscious Life Expo this year.
Yes,
And we were
yes.
talking a little bit about your podcast and then talking about what you do at the booth. So tell us a little more about that.
Well, at the booth, because Danny, who's like a manager for me, she said, "We don't have anything to sell." I said, "You're right. We don't have anything to sell." That happened, I think, when we were doing an expo in New Jersey.
Mhm.
So I sat down and I said, "Okay, what am I going to do?" And I
Mhm.
intuited, "You're going to do psychic readings."
Mhm.
I said, "Oh my God." I said, "I haven't done psychic readings since I was 30,
Uh-huh.
maybe in my 30s."
Right.
People would ask me and I'd say, this
Yeah.
is what I think is going to happen. But so I said, "Okay, I'll do psychic readings." But then the realm said, "Okay," they were the ones that suggested that I do psychic readings. And they said, "You're going to do
Right.
them for free."
Uh-huh.
So I don't charge for
Mhm.
them. So, it's first come, first serve. And
Yeah.
it turned out when I was in New Jersey and I did it, um, because we were a podcast, they placed me in the hallway. So
Mhm.
when I walked in, I told Danny, I said, "We're in the hallway. We're not in the main group." No, but it turned out to be a blessing, Tracee, because
Yes.
once
Yes.
the expo was starting at 11, I started giving psychic readings at 10
Yeah.
o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. So I
Yeah.
had all these people. I think I gave psychic readings that day to about 80 people, and
Oh
they
my
were
goodness.
lined up. See, it was good to be in the hallway because the line
Yes.
from the hallway into the big room, and people
Yes.
people who ran the expo said, "What's going on here?"
Mhm.
No. So so I said, "Wow." So then, because I have to get permission,
Yeah.
just go into you, I have to get permission from my higher consciousness to be able to
Right.
do it. And then I have to get permission from the person's higher consciousness to do it.
Right.
So, but by the time we got to the next expo, I was doing the facilitation work. So people were
Okay.
coming to me that, like in California, I worked on one woman's arm or neck or some part of her body. And I said, "Well, how long has this been bothering you?" She said, 4 years. I said, "Oh my goodness." So we worked on her and that was it. She went away. She said, "Oh my God." So then she went out, called her friend. She said,
Mhm.
"You've got to get to this woman. You've got to see her." So I
Wow.
facilitated for him for about 5 months. He had gone to 18 doctors. I said, "How many
My
doctors have you been to about this?" He said, 18. I said, "Oh my." So we worked on
goodness.
it. It took 5 months with him working and really being dedicated to it. So
Mhm.
he healed himself. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, and then I take people out of portals.
Mm-hmm.
One person came and she had gotten sick because she had received some energy work from a particular person. She had gone to a seminar or something, and the woman, out of her good heart, did energy work on everybody. But sometimes you can't do that because everybody's different. So she went up to her room throwing up and all kinds of stuff. She came down, and Kathy usually is the one that signs people up. And she spoke to Kathy, said, "You better go see Gretta." And so she said, to explain to me, and I had to lower the energy for her.
Yeah.
So it was
you can be thrown into a healing crisis for sure. So if people don't know, the Conscious Life Expo is going to be at the LAX Hilton, and it's going to be February 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you definitely want to come see Gretta. And tell us a little bit about your podcast. I know, how is it a weekly podcast?
It comes on, it airs every Friday.
Okay. And it's called Shifting Impressions.
And it's on 50 podcast channels or whatever.
Okay.
Like iHeart, Spotify, Transformation Network, that type of thing. And then we reach out to about 100, and it's either 135 or 165 countries. I can't remember. But that's through the network itself.
Got it.
And pick us up all around the world. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so you were talking about your podcast. It's called Shifting Impressions, and that every week you address a question or a quote from the realm of beings. They give you a quote for the week, and then you discuss it on the podcast.
Right. So we've discussed all kinds of things, but it's basically around creation of reality. That's what the podcast is about, showing people how they can create a different life for themselves, that you're never stuck in anything, that you can always change. And so that's the teachings from the realm of beings, that that's our emphasis. So we do things from like one is called The Empty Box, one of ours, and it talked about how you bring people into your reality. What are these people that you're interacting with, and so forth. Now at the Consciousness Life Expo, I'm going to be teaching a class called Focus for Change 2. I did Focus for Change 1 last year. This year I'm doing Focus for Change 2. It's very practical. So those people who are interested in an interactive situation and actually working on things that they want to change within themselves, we're going to show them how to do that. They get a workbook that they're going to be working in. They get to take that home.
Nice.
Now the workshop is called Death by Design. And I know some people find it scary, but that's why we did it, because to eliminate fear. And I talk about the whole process, all the way up to you making your transition, how you make it, what goes on, and so forth. So
that's a really important topic and so relevant right now. Helping people work through fear on any level, Yes. So do you happen to know your booth number?
157.
Yay. So Gretta, Dr. Gretta, how would you like to be addressed when people?
Just Gretta. Gretta's fine.
Gretta. Yeah. Well, Gretta, you have been just such a pleasure to talk with, and your career is so interesting. And I really hope that people will reach out to you at the Conscious Life Expo. You can also find you at what's your website?
TheRealmOfBeings.com.
therealmofbeings.com. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here today. And everybody, don't forget to get your tickets right now to the Conscious Life Expo at the LAX Hilton. That will be February 7th, 8th, and 9th. And drop by and see Gretta at, you said, booth number 159?
157.
157. And of course, I'll be there with Go Tracee Publishing and all of my work. You can see some of it back here. I'll be at LL4 in the lower lobby. And then I'll also be there on behalf of the Coalition of Visionary Resources, and they'll be at LL3. So make sure that you stop by and say hello to all of us. And thank you for tuning in today. And thank you, Gretta, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Us. Thank you for having us.
Having all of you. Exactly.